If you're selling meat directly to your customers, inventory management can make or break your farm. Having a mixed count or not knowing what you have can mean either you've made a customer mad because you've sold them something you don't have, or you're leaving money on the table because you're not selling things that are just sitting in your freezer. Today, I'm unpacking our freezers, literally and figuratively, and showing you how we track every single cut from customer to processor without losing our minds. And stick around to the end because I'm going to give you the exact inventory management sheet that we use at Longbottom Farm. That'll be for free. All right, let's get into it. Real quick, we have a newsletter, The Part-Time Farmer. This comes out every Sunday about 10 a.m. I talk about how to market your products on your farm, how to use social media and websites to grow your farm. I also talk about farming, raising cattle, chickens, pigs. We go through it all, and it's about building your farm business. Sign up now, and you also get a free PDF on how to use ChatGPT to write your social media, to write your newsletters, and to help write product descriptions for your products. This is free download for signing up for the newsletter. One newsletter every 1 to 2 weeks, no spam, I promise. Check it out. I think you'll get a lot of value in learning to grow your farm or homestead, and it's free. All right, back to the video. All right, guys, we talked last week. We've got a lot of inventory coming back, so that's what I'm doing now. We're unpacking freezers. Got a bunch of pork that I've got to get in all of these freezers you see behind me here, which are already pretty full. And then either tomorrow or the next day, we're going to pick up beef. We've got 3 head of beef to bring back. Now, the good news is I won't have to bring all that up here immediately. You guys have seen my trailer, our freezer trailer, and that's what we use to transport beef from the processor, or pork, chicken, turkey, back from the processor to the farm. Here's an image of it you can see here. We've got 4 freezers on here, plenty enough for what we need. And the great thing about it is that when I get meat back from the farm, I can just plug this in. I don't immediately have to take everything out. We park it under cover, so it's protected from the elements, and we're good to go. We have time to figure out how we're gonna get all that meat up here with all the meat that we already have. Now, you might be wondering, why don't you have a walk-in? It's a very good question. It's something we have considered many, many times. Main reason is that we're pretty rural, and being rural, I worry that when we lose power, everyone's lost power, and sometimes it can be out for days. And that being the case, I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be first on the list if I have a big walk-in that I need repaired, or our power will come back up soon. With these freezers here, these chest freezers that I have, I've got 2 generators that I can bring up here. I can run, I can rotate. I don't bring the generators up here, but we run right behind you as a window. We run the generators out here. I can run wires up here with power strips. And I can run any of these, you know, I can hook up 3, I've had up to 4 at a time, but generally 3 with the generator that I have. And I can run 4 hours, I can pop 3 more on for 4 hours. And then we've got 2 generators that we can do that with. So essentially, as long as I've got fuel, I can keep these guys running indefinitely. And that's the main reason, is redundancy. I am worried that if I have a walk-in, it goes down, I got a lot of meat in there, and I may not be able to get it running. Now, I could get a generator for that. That is another option, and we've looked into that. It would obviously need to be bigger than the little generators that I'm using to run these chest freezers. But nevertheless, this is the system we've been using because it's been working well for us. And then also, just not even power goes down. If one of these freezers goes down for any reason, I can easily shuffle stuff out. We use these little sensors called sensor push, and we have these in all the freezers, and they monitor the temperature. And they will tell my phone if there's any issues. So that's how we know if there's any issues with the freezers, or if one of the freezers needs our attention. Again, you might have a couple $1,000s in one of these freezers, so you know, a $50 temperature monitor, well worth the cost. I've got a link to those below in case you're interested. So redundancy, spreading the risk, that's why we use these chest freezers. Oh, the other benefit to these guys is they're cheap too. I've gotten pretty much every one of these for $100 or less off of Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. If you just look on there, you'll even find, a lot of times the small ones are on there all the time, but like on this side, I've got, I think, 5 big ones, and then I've got 2 commercial ones down at the end, and we've gotten all of these for under $100. So again, that's over 4 years or so. So just keep an eye as you see them. You got to jump on them because they go quick. But you can even set on Facebook Marketplace, you can set an alert for chest freezer, and it'll actually alert you to whatever area you have set up when a chest freezer comes available. So that's a little tip if you're trying to get some of these chest freezers. Set one of those alerts up, get them for cheap, and worst case, if one of them goes down, you're not out of a lot of money. All right, I gotta get these guys boxes here in the freezer. I've got a few more that I need to bring up. And then we're gonna talk about the system that we use for keeping up with our inventory. All right. All right, guys. All right, yeah, get down here where I can get in the camera. Little quick tip. This is pork fat. It makes lard, amazing lard. If you're a baker, cookies, pies, actually for cooking, just using as an oil to cook in, this stuff is amazing. The leaf fat is from around the organs, so it doesn't have as much of the pork flavor, therefore you can cook other things in it. That's compared to the back fat, which you can also get. The reason I'm pointing this out is a lot of us take pigs in and we leave a lot of it with the processor, which means we're leaving money on the table. This leaf fat sells really well, $2 or $3 a pound, but you get 8 pounds or so. And then you can also get the back fat. You can get the organs, heart, kidneys, liver, tongue. Those sell very well. We even get the heads. Those haven't sold too well, but it's one of those things that the processor has to pay to throw this stuff away. It's your product. There's a lot of nose to tail eaters out there that will pay for this stuff. So just something to think about. If you're just getting your meat cuts back, think about getting some of the offal, as they call it. That would be your organs and your fats. It could add a little bit to your bottom line. All right. Now I want to talk about our bag and box system. This is how we store all the products that we have. You can see behind me here, this is a bunch of boxes, and we get these from the processor. The labels are actually facing the other way, but they all have labels on them that tell what they are. And this is an easy way, if I'm not going to inventory all the items in here, I can put these boxes in my freezers. I usually have them standing up so that I can read the labels very easily. And I'm usually able to get a number of rows standing up and then a number of rows across. And by doing this, I can easily tell what I have, and it just helps to store a lot of meat in a small place. Not only that, but everything's together. Now, the other system we have is our bag system, like these. These are just basically shopping bags. We get them off of Amazon. I've got a link below, and you get, I want to say 30 or 40 of them. I don't know. It's a bunch. And they come in different colors. We use these to kind of fit in between the boxes. And typically when we inventory, things come out of the box and into the bag. So I know anything in a bag has been inventoried. Anything in a box hasn't been inventoried yet. This is important because, one, when I'm trying to keep up with my numbers to know what I paid to raise an animal, feed, costs, labor, all that, versus what I'm getting back. Our processor doesn't provide us a cut sheet. I mean, we turn in a cut sheet, but they don't provide us a detailed, itemized list of all the cuts that we get back. Therefore, I have to inventory them. Not only that, but putting them on the website, you got to know the specific pounds that you're going to sell. So you have to have that inventory as well. So by having the bags, we take stuff out of the boxes, write everything down in a notebook as we're taking it out, the name of the cut and all the weights. Then cuts go in the bag, bags go in the freezer. Then I've got my notebook, and what I'll do that evening is I'll sit down and I will take everything from that notebook and put it into the spreadsheet. We're going to get to the spreadsheet in a minute, so just hang tight. But that's it. So we've got boxes, stuff that's not been inventoried goes in the freezers, and then we have the bags. When things come out of the boxes, they get inventoried. Inventory goes into a spreadsheet. And that's it. It's a pretty simple system. It does take some time. Obviously, you got to write down the stuff, and then you've got to put everything away. But when you find that you're doing chickens for meat, turkeys, beef, pork, that's a lot of meat, and there's a lot of cuts, and especially pork. Pork, you can take one pig and you might have 4 different sausages, you might have 4 different brats, you might have smoked, unsmoked. Like pork, there's a million things that you can do with just one pig. You know, beef is pretty straightforward. You've got your cuts, that's it. Same thing with chicken or poultry. You got your whole birds and then you got your parted cuts. But pork really can get crazy depending on how many pigs you're doing, how many varieties of sausage, brats, bacons, your pork chops, are you getting that Canadian bacon, even our Boston butts, we can actually get what's called shoulder bacon. There's just so many things you can do. So for that reason, inventorying is super important. It helps you to keep up with everything. It helps you to know what you have. It helps you to get things on the website so the customers can buy them. And it's efficient. That's why you got to do it. All right, let's get these boxes in the freezer, and then we're going to talk about the software we use, the software that you can use, and also how we manage this inventory digitally. All right. All right, I figured I would come up here and show you how we use our notebook when we're talking about we write down all of our cuts. This is it, our handy dandy notebook. And you can see this thing has got pages just filled with orders and inventory and just all kinds of things that we have written in here for the products that we sell. So when someone orders, we get a notification saying, hey, someone just bought this from you. And then this is what we get printed out. It's basically an invoice, and it's going to look backwards on here. But anyways, it's got the product right here. So I bring the order slip with me, and we use a software called BizSwoop. Link down below if you want to know how, at least using WooCommerce, when you get orders to have them print out on your printer. BizSwoop is what we use, link down below. But we get their order. I look on here, I see what they got. I see it's a smoked pork jaw with a weight range of 1.76 to 2 pounds. So therefore, I'm looking for a 1.76 to 2 pound pork jaw. And I will go in my freezer, I'll get the cut out, put it in the bag. I usually write a nice little note on here like, thanks and enjoy, all the best, Jason, Lexi, and family. Just something, I feel like it's a little personalized touch. This goes in the bag with them, and then I write down the cut in my notebook. So I'll put their name, and I'll write down that cut. Then, later on tonight, tomorrow, some point, when I sit down at a computer, I will get this notebook, and I will pull up my spreadsheet, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, and I will remove the cut off of the spreadsheet. And that's essentially how it's done. As far as the farm store, I'm using my spreadsheet, which we'll talk about in a minute, to determine what's on my farm store. And I'll show you how we do that, but that's how I know what I've got listed on the website, and everything's color-coded. It's very simple. So anyways, just wanted to show you the notebook. For this stuff here, this is stuff that I'm going to inventory. So what I'm going to do is write down the name, every one of the cuts. Then I am going to sit down tonight, tomorrow, and I will enter all of these cuts onto the spreadsheet. Then I have a nice visual of all my cuts, what I need, what I can put on my website, so that I am maximizing, I'm selling everything that I have, and I'm also not forgetting anything, that I can make sure that all the cuts that are in these freezers are on my website. Again, if these are just sitting in your freezer and nobody knows they're not on your website, nobody's going to buy them. So I hope that helps make things a little clearer. And obviously, if you do have questions, just hit a comment below. I look at every comment, and I'll get back to you. The last thing we're going to talk about is the spreadsheet that we use to keep up with our inventory. There's a link to the spreadsheet below. All you have to do is click on the spreadsheet. It's going to take you to a Google document, which you will not be able to edit. But if you go to the top right corner and you click File, Make a Copy, it will make you a copy that will then be in your Google Drive. And you can do whatever you want with that copy. You'll be able to edit it, change it. If you mess it up beyond repair, it's okay. Just click on the link and File, Make a New Copy. You can make as many copies as you want. So this is yours. Essentially, the first page of the spreadsheet has what we use here at the farm, which is poultry, beef, pork, chicken, and then we have some coffee too. And those are there, and this is where I put all my prices. And when I update prices, I just change the price here. Again, my prices, I don't remember if I put my prices on there or not. So then you have tabs along the bottom. Again, the first one's the price one that we're talking about. The second, third, fourth, this is just the enterprises, beef, pork, poultry, and then there's a number of cuts. Again, you can edit these cuts, change the names. I set these up so that for these cuts, there's a price above, and again, you'll see the price. So it's a nice way that you can get all your cuts in here, and it's actually going to give you a value of what you're charging for that cut, and if you're to sell every cut, how much you're going to make. And then on the front of the sheet, I've got them all tallied, so you can see what your exact value of your inventory is. This is important because, one, this helps you move product. When you're dealing with this many chest freezers, and I've got them on this side, we've got chest freezers downstairs, you need to first make sure, first in, first out, that you're not keeping cuts more than a year. Two, it allows you to see, oh, I have a whole lot of these and they're getting close, so that's the time to run a sale. That is the time to put those into a bundle. That is the time to, heck, even give away some freebies sometimes. It's good marketing, and all in all, it's pretty cheap marketing. There are a number of things you can do, but you can't do that if you don't know your numbers and what you have, and that's why this spreadsheet is really important. Second, with the spreadsheet, you'll see that everything's color-coded. And I used to have two different color codings. I have green and I have yellow. Green were items that I have already put on my website. So that allows me to just in a glance, yes, I can see all my products, but I don't always put every single product on the website. Reason being is we were also doing a farmer's market. And if you get two different sales outlets,
If something sells at the farmer's market, I don't want that cut listed on the website, because then it's already sold, then somebody buys it on the website and I don't have it. So what we would do is green are cuts that are listed on the website. Yellow were cuts that were going to the farmer's market. And I would keep all of those, and we had one big freezer with bags. And you'd have like your pork roast bag, all my chops bag. I'd have chicken legs and breast, just different bags for different cuts. And again, they're all yellow on the spreadsheet. And that's a quick way that, oh, I've got market tomorrow. Let me quickly look at my sheet. I can see, okay, I don't have any yellow here. That means I don't have any. So I know I need these. And it's a good way to keep up with what you're taking to market. Again, nothing more frustrating than you getting to market and somebody's like, oh, I need 10 pounds of ground beef. And you're like, I left the ground beef at home. This is where a spreadsheet comes in, because you don't want to be standing out there all day just losing sales. That's frustrating and not efficient. So these are the two colors we use: yellow for farmer's market, green for the farm. And again, when stuff sells off the farm, like I was showing you here, if I sold a cut, I would put it in the bag, I write down that cut, and then I have one notebook I keep all of this in. And then when I get home, I just sit down with that notebook. I remove those cuts off of the spreadsheet, tighten everything up, and then I can see, okay, this is what I've got left. If I need to add more cuts to the website, I can add them to the website, and then I just change them from white to green. Then I know that they're listed on the website. So that's it. It's a free spreadsheet. It's nothing super intense or programming. It's probably something you could do yourself. You can try to use it, hopefully take pieces of it, incorporate it into your own spreadsheet. And if you have questions, obviously, just shoot me an email, shoot me a comment below. I'm very easy to get a hold of. All of my contact information, email, everything is down in the description. And then I wanted to talk real quick about the software that we use. We use WooCommerce, which comes with WordPress. WordPress is just like Squarespace or Wix, or they're software platforms. The thing about WordPress is it's open source. If you think about, say, computers, you have Apple and you have Windows. Well, you also have Linux. Linux is open, it's free, you can use it. Again, it takes some training to learn how to use, but last I checked, about 43% of the entire internet is using WordPress. So almost half of every website that you visit is built with WordPress. And the reason being is just you can do anything with it. It's very easy to code. There are so many plugins for it, to do things with pictures, to do things with your store, to subscriptions and CSA boxes, and you can pretty much do anything with it. And so that's why I use it. That's what I learned on about 10 years ago when I started my farm. I got through a service that gives you a template of a website. You have to edit it, so I had to learn how to do all this on my own. And over time, I learned what worked, what didn't, and just kept going from there. So I've been designing with WordPress for about 10 years, and WooCommerce, they're both amazing. If you go to longbottomfarm.com, that whole site is set up with WordPress and WooCommerce. You can check it out, you can put stuff in the cart, you can see how things tally and show up. And that's what I use. There's also Shopify. There's some other software programs out there. They're all different. So it's really finding one that works for you, works for the context that you're doing, and using that. I have found I love WordPress, and what we do is we do everything in buckets, meaning for roast, I've got 3 to 3.25 pounds, 3.25 to 3.5 pounds. Everything is in a quarter of a pound. And that makes it so, I mean, if you think about it, if you're trying to sell everything by the exact weight, just from 2 to 4 pounds, that's 200 different cuts. That's 200 things you have to enter into that website. And then when someone buys it, say you've got 40 cuts in there, you've got to find that exact cut. Pain in the butt. So using these buckets is a lot easier. It equals out at the end. Sometimes you sell a little more or a little less, but the customer knows exactly what to expect. And you have about 10 buckets instead of 200. Therefore, if someone buys a 3 to 3.25, well, you can find any cut within that range, and you just write that cut down, take it off your spreadsheet, you're good to go. So that's it. I hope you guys found this helpful. Again, there's a lot of software out there. It gets crazy. I run a service called Homegrown Hosting where we design websites for farmers. You get a full website, you get a full store. I completely set your store up, so there's no onboarding. There's no, I'll show you how to do this and you do the rest. I set up the entire store. I can write your copy. I can set up your SEO so that you get found. So if you need a website, link down below, check that out. Otherwise, I've got a few more videos in the pipeline. Stay tuned. We'll catch you in the next one. All right, bye.